Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Today, we take an opportunity to just stop. Today we have men in the room, and we welcome you as well. But today is the day that we just take an opportunity to take a deep breath and to reflect on some things as it relates to us as women. And so very oftentimes we're caregivers, we're moms, we're the Uber driver. We're the chef. When the pandemic hit, I laughed. I said I became the instant best friend, the janitor, the lunchroom lady, the classroom teacher, all in one day, right? That we had to take care of on top of all of the other issues. And as I was preparing to speak to you today, I had something totally different that I wanted to talk about. But life brings about changes and always throws curveballs. And so as it brings curveballs, I had the displeasure of being with a lady this morning who was faced with some very traumatic situations. And in that, it reminded me the importance of how we need to make sure that we're safe, we're healthy, and we have self-care. And so even though we're talking about heart disease, we're talking about our personal health, a lot of that stems back to just not taking time out for ourselves. And I'm the number one person that is absolutely guilty of those things, to not take time out for ourselves. But today, in this next few moments and in this space, I want us to take an opportunity to think about those things that we can strengthen, those things that we can make better in our life, to make not only, because if we're not well, then all those people that depend on us, they're gonna miss out on us, right? And so I know for me in my house, when I'm sick, everything stops, right? Everything stops. But we don't even want to be faced with that. We want to take an opportunity to get this information, and don't just take this information that we're presenting to you today and that you'll receive in your bags, but take it and then apply it to your day-to-day life. Let's think about how we can take small steps in making sure that we have a healthy lifestyle, we have a healthy heart, so that we not only make ourselves feel better, but then we also, the people that we come in contact with every day, will be better for touching the lives of our lives. So again, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. To our partners, we appreciate you so very much, and we will continue to work with you as days to come, because this is just a conversation that we're starting. This is our inaugural event. And so this is something that I believe that as we move forward in the years to come, that we'll continue to discuss this. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Barron. And at this time, I would like to welcome Ms. Robin Cooper to the podium with Wholespire Richland County.
Hi, everybody. How are y'all? No pressure. My name is Robin Cooper. Here we go. I am a public health educator with the community systems teams for DHEC, and I'm also chair of Wholespire Richland County. Wholespire is an organization that really focuses on empowering residents in Richland County for healthy eating and active living lifestyles. We recognize the importance of our residents adopting those types of lifestyles for a healthy way of living. And it is very important that we collectively come together across different sectors in the county to achieve those goals. And our coalition is made up of a diverse group of individuals from Prism of Health, Blue Cross Blue Shield, City of Columbia, Columbia Parks and Recs, and newly Richland County government. So we're really excited for the opportunity that this partnership has produced and what future partnerships will produce. We've done a couple of projects here in the community. We've done a community garden. we've partnered with Koinonia of Columbia, which services the 29203 zip code at the Lenore Rhine campus across from Hyatt Park Elementary. So we did a community garden there. We have 10 beds. 2 are wheelchair accessible. So we're very mindful of being inclusive with all populations here in the county. We've also done some wayfinding signage out at the Eastover Trailhead. I invite you guys, if you are a nature lover like myself, to go out and see the nature trail. It's about 11 miles. You don't have to do the whole 11 miles, but we did do signs about 2.5 miles into the trail, which takes you to the beautiful watery river. And also, that was one of our first partnerships with Richland County government for a parking lot for safer accessibility. The trailhead is right off of 601, so you know that highway's pretty busy with 18-wheelers. And prior to residents that wanted to access that trail would have to park on the side of the road. So we were blessed to partner with you all and have a parking lot. And it's really beautiful. Again, I invite you guys out to see the nature trail. And we've also partnered with City of Columbia Parks and Recs for an outdoor day of play with 33 kids in the after-school program with at Woodland Park with Meadowfield Elementary. We played disc golf. Those kids were really competitive, and so we partnered with, I say partner a lot because clearly we do a lot of partnering. We partnered with the president of the Columbia Disc Golf Club, and they brought the equipment out. They had instructors, and again, we had the kids come out and we played disc golf. We provide healthy snacks, and you know, kids love free stuff and freebies for them. So it was just a really great opportunity to get them outside, get them active, get them moving, and it was just a really fun, hot but fun day that we participated with the kids in that. So those are just some of the things that we've done. We are really passionate about community health and community partnerships, and we're looking for new coalition members if you want to join. But again, we thank you guys so much for this partnership and for this opportunity, and thank you so much.
Perfect timing, Meg. Unfortunately, our next speaker, Ms. Kelsey Sanders, could not be with us today, but we do have Meg with us today, who is going to be speaking on her behalf. So Meg is also with Wholespire Richland County. So thank you, Meg, for being with us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm Meg Stanley with Wholespire from the statewide perspective, because we are a statewide organization that we really work with partners at the local, regional, county, and statewide level, working through a coalition, what we refer to as a coalition of partners, to really try to improve access to healthy options. And we do that through trying to provide particularly local communities with really proven and sustainable approaches to increase access to healthy eating and active living options. One of our chapters, we have 14 chapters in the state, and one is here, Richland County, and that's where I will introduce, I guess, Robin in just a moment to tell you a little bit more about what's going on here. Specifically, we conduct our work with partnerships through advocacy, and that can be organizational advocacy. It could be county or city level advocacy, as well as at the State House. We also worked through youth engagement and trying to include our youth with a focus on 12 to 17-year-olds, teaching them how to be advocates, using healthy eating, active living strategies, and implementing projects, and try to connect them with local community organizations and individuals who are interested in advancing and making those efforts sustainable over time. And then we really also focus on our community level work. And our community level work takes all different forms. And I think it's probably best for me to hand that over to ask Robin to tell more if that's on the agenda. She just did, okay, and I'm really sorry I'm behind the 8 ball on this one. And so if you have heard from Robin about the good things that Richland County, our Richland County chapter has been doing, I'm hoping it gave you a little bit of insight in how that looks. Some of the work that we do is at the state level is to be able to provide what we refer to as technical assistance to these chapters and also other partners. What that really means is coaching. And coaching can be in connecting to resources. And that could be an actual webinar or an in-person training. It could be connecting to options for funding for a project. It could be connecting with other organizations that have that are seeking a common outcome. So it can take on a lot of different forms. We really focus in on what we refer to as policies, systems, and environmental change, where we don't really work through direct program services, but we provide what we believe a lot of programs rely on for sustainability. And for instance, if a person goes through a course or a class that might be about, let's say, diabetes prevention programming, or something that might be heart related, for that person or that individual to then go home and be able to have that support with among their space that they live in, might be their organization, might be their own community, they would need to have some systems in place that are going to help them continue to do and make good choices that they've learned in that program. Are there any questions, though, since I did not hear what the lovely Robin Cooper has already said, what's going on at the local level? And we do partner and have partnered quite a bit with Heart Association, the American Heart Association at various levels, at the local level, in different communities, including here in Columbia and also at the State House.
Thank you very much, and I will tell you that I really appreciate a human that can come in and just go with it. So we certainly appreciate you walking into the fire today. Next up, we have Mrs. Catherine Coffer, who is with the American Heart Association.
Well, thank you all for having us today, and I really appreciate seeing everyone in red and everyone taking the time out of their day to make heart health their #1 priority. Something you may not know is that 1 in 3 women will be impacted by heart disease or stroke, and that means that more lives of women in the Midlands will be claimed than all forms of cancer combined. And so that's really, it's a startling statistic. And every 40 seconds in the US, there's someone that has a heart attack. So every 40 seconds, just think about how long we've been here. The people just enjoying our lunch, that many people have been, who have had a heart attack. And so the good news about all of this is us coming together is that over 80% of heart diseases and stroke can be prevented. So it's us gathering today. It's making heart health a priority. Thank you to Prisma for having the blood pressure checks, because we really, that's one of the modifiable risk factors is finding out that you have high blood pressure and then maintaining proper blood pressure levels with your medications. So as we're here today, we're so excited to partner with Richland County, and I know that you all will be hearing from your department. Your departments will be hearing from the county administrator's office and encouraging you all to join and create heart walk teams. Well, the good news is, because one of the ways that you can have proper heart health is to remain physically active. So the Heart Walk is not just one day where we want you to just come and walk on March 25th and then forget about it. We want you to come and be more physically active every day. So we want you to join also the Move More Challenge, and that kicks off on February 23rd, and it's something that we can all do. It's park a little further away from the door. It's, take the stairs, just adding physical activity every day instead of just having your heart walk. And so we want you to get active and make heart health a priority, and so we really appreciate you including us today.
Thank you, Catherine. And now we have our last speaker for today is Miss Monica Hoover, also with the American Heart Association. Monica?
You'll have to forgive me. This is quite a bit outside of my comfort zone. So I'm with the American Heart Association as an active heart survivor. I had the opportunity to work with them as their Go Red for Women spokesperson last year, which again was very much out of my comfort zone. I, went through several filming events. My children were interviewed. I was on the television with things that make you feel uncomfortable. There are pictures behind me, not today, but they're behind me on the news. They're behind me at the luncheon. Some pictures my children shared that I didn't know, of me in the ICU, intubated, flat, in some of my most vulnerable moments. So that was a very difficult time for me to share my story, talk about those things. We all want people to see us as strong women, strong people. No one wants to share their weakness. When I had the opportunity for Go Red for Women last year, I stood up in front of a room full of people and gave my talk, shaking much like I am today. But when I was finished, I saw the true impact of what that did around the room. I saw the awareness that it brought. And so then I, vowed to become even more of an advocate for Go Red for Women and just heart health in general. Just throughout my own journey, learning the staggering statistics that 1 in 4, 1 in 3, that's our biggest risk factor as women. Everyone in here has a mother. If you don't have a wife, if you don't have children, you have a sister, you have an aunt, you have a woman in your life that I'm sure you wouldn't be where you are today without that particular person. So, bringing an awareness and standing up and, sharing my story, as raw and awful as it can be for myself, I see that, just educating everyone. I was at the Go Gamecocks game on Sunday. They had a pink out. There's not very many times we have a red out. We don't see that out there. The education isn't out there. And knowing that, half of the education helps 80% of the prevention. And so whatever I can do, when Catherine said, will you talk? I'm like, oh, let me check my calendar. Maybe I'm not available. But in that particular day, I was actually driving to see my daughter, and I said, okay, I looked at my calendar. I'm like, Catherine, I'll make it happen, so that I could get up here and kind of share my story of being a heart survivor with you guys. So, excuse me this is about 4 years old since my surgery, but it's still very raw, still very emotional, because I'm looking out here, a room full of just beautiful women in red, and I just know that, at any point in time, this could be any one of you. So, that's just very emotional for me. As I said, I was a wife, a mother, sister, and daughter myself. I have 3 beautiful daughters. In May of 2018, as many of you know, May is the month of graduations. Kind of everything comes to culmination much more in May for most of us than it does in December of every year. So my 3 daughters were wrapping up their academic calendars, from my oldest finishing her freshman year at Baylor. My middle daughter was at the culmination of kind of a long travel season of some cheerleading events. My youngest was at the end of her soccer season into their school year. So in that 3-week period, I had traveled from everywhere from Florida back and forth 3 times to Texas and back, including a 20-hour car ride in a little car packed down from dorm with practically my knees to my nose. I started experiencing I was at my daughter's soccer game, and I kind of started experiencing some weird, and it wouldn't be what any one of us would have thought was typical chest pain. It was more of an ache, more of a kind of a tightness. I brushed it off. I thought, gosh, I've been really busy. I've been traveling. I'm exhausted. I've slept in my own bed maybe twice in the past 2 or 3 weeks. Clearly this is just, I pulled something, I've strained something, no reason for concern. My husband at the time sat down to me and probably said the worst, Valentine's Day was yesterday, so for any men in the room, I don't advise that you say this to your wife, but after being, gone for quite a while, he sat down, he said, "You look terrible." Really? Would you like to go home and sit next to me this evening? Would you like to have dinner with me? I'm like, really? I look terrible. Of course I do. I'm exhausted. And so, he expressed some concern for me. Again, I brushed it off. I'm in the bleachers. It wasn't the sharp pain. It wasn't something that you would consider heart pain, but it was just an uncomfortableness. And I was, kind of doubled over in the bleachers, couldn't quite stand up. I continued to attribute it to perhaps a muscle pain, something along those lines. Fast forward to the end of the game, I'm a very active, wife and mother, and so they lost the state championship soccer game. So now what's happening with me is no longer a concern. I need to get home and be super mom and, fix the baby that's been neglected while I was traveling with her sisters. So on the way home, my family said, I think we're going to take you to the ER. And I adamantly refused to go. I said, I'm tired, want to sleep, I need to get home, it's time for family. So I ended up in the ER that night. The cardiologist came in. I passed everything. Prior to this, all of us kind of have that midlife crisis, and we are like, hey, we're going to be in our best shape. We're going to do those kind of things. So about 2 years prior to that, my midlife crisis also included training, competing in a bodybuilding competition. And so I was at my absolute healthiest. I have no risk, no cardiac factors in my family, no heart disease, a little stroke, but, I don't smoke, I don't drink. And again, I was the healthiest I had ever been, eating all of those things. So there, even then, were no reasons to suspect that I would have been, a heart patient. I passed everything. Cardiologist came in and said, something just doesn't look right. And so they sent me in for a cardiac cath. The next day, I wake up thinking, okay, the cardiologist said, maybe you have a blockage, which again did not make any sense from my family history and or symptoms or my lifestyle. So, I was still, kind of a little irritated to be there overnight. And so the next day, I did the cardiac cath. I remember, almost like a dream. You see the movies where it's slow motion, and I remember them coming in and talking to me. I'm kind of coming out of anesthesia. The only things I remember them saying to me was, "You don't have a blockage." So as I'm wheeling out past my family, my daughter is crying. My daughter's face is as red as the different shades we're wearing. And I remember saying, "Hey, I don't have a blockage." And looking at them, it seemed surreal. It almost felt like I was looking down on myself. I'm pinching myself, like, wait, am I here? Why is everybody crying? Kind of what's happening? Still in denial of what was about to transpire. So at that point, I learned that I actually had a 99.9% fatal heart defect that I had my entire life. Both of my coronary arteries were only attached to the left side of my heart. My right coronary artery was actually twisted behind my pulmonary artery. So, here I had been, much like all of you. I'm sure I probably had other symptoms. One of the things that it's called a right anomalous coronary artery, but one of the things is it's considered a silent killer because it's one of the things that you usually do not have symptoms from. They find it after someone has passed away on an autopsy. I had symptoms, or, I'm a believer that perhaps there are symptoms, but we've been conditioned to overlook them. I looked back and thought, how many times did I have an uncomfortable feeling? How many times did I attribute it to, stress? How many times did I feel fatigued? That maybe those symptoms don't get reported because we're conditioned, especially as women, to keep going, moving. We have someone to be there for. We have something else better to do. We don't take time for ourselves. We don't listen to our symptoms. We don't, take ourselves seriously or take the time out for ourselves. And so, I was lucky enough to be forced to go in to get it taken care of. So 3 days later, I had open heart surgery. I also do real estate, so my best way to explain that is to put it in terms of that. So they took my heart out, cut off the roof, rearranged the plumbing, put it back inside. I lost about 3 to 6 months of really knowing what was happening in my life. The recovery was very long still today. I still have some lingering symptoms, even though I don't have a heart disease. I still, have medication. I still have had a few lingering strokes. Prior to that, I didn't need glasses. So, just some lingering things that have continued to plague me. The biggest thing after that is, looking in the mirror and seeing this gigantic scar that's from here to here and, just trying to disguise that, cover it up, or also realizing the beauty in that. And so I'm here today to help you guys realize the beauty in my scar, the beauty in listening to yourself, listening to your symptoms. If your family is stepping up and telling you, go take care of yourself, take that moment, whether that's a dinner, whether that's a spa day, whether that's a quiet walk or leaving you alone to watch your favorite television show. Take that time for yourself. Really listen to your inner body, your gut, and symptoms. And what's the worst could happen if you went to the doctor and they said, there's nothing wrong? That's better than the alternative. So don't be afraid to speak up, be an advocate for yourself, be an advocate for those around you. One of the most impactful, things in telling my story was listening to it through the eyes of my children, and what a significant loss that would have been an impact in their lives had they not helped advocate and had I not went and had that surgery. So, I'm here as a mom raising 3 strong daughters. I want to be here for the rest of their things. I want to be here for the college graduations, the weddings, those things. I want to, be here to speak out so that each one of you won't miss important moments like that in your lives, or your families won't miss you being there. So, thank you for having me today.
Well, thank you, Monica. Your story truly spoke to me. I'm a little speechless, honestly, and I'm sure that I speak for others in the room when I say that. So, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your story. It has definitely made me think about some things. So, thank you, and thank you all again for being with us today. Wholespire, American Heart Association. Of course, again, I want to thank Councilwoman Barron and Mrs. McBride, and also Mrs. Newton, who joined us a little bit later in the program. So, thank you all for being here. We certainly are very appreciative of your support, and we look forward to many more community outreach events like this in the future. Please feel free to finish your meals if you haven't already, and if you have any questions for our guests, maybe they will be so kind as to stick around for just a little bit. And I want to bring Mrs. Barron back up to the podium at this time.
Wow. So, Monica, I heard you last year at the luncheon, and I cried the whole time. I feel better that I lost 25 pounds from that time on. So she challenged me because COVID got me real good. COVID got me real good. But so thank you for sharing your story once again. I think that some stories are worth repeating over and over again because the message doesn't get old. It just renews itself. So please keep telling your story. As we move forward today, we don't want this just to be another luncheon. We don't want this just to be a time where you had an opportunity to pull away from your desk and have some good lunch, but we want to have a call to action. You heard earlier that the county is partnering with the American Heart Association, and as we're doing that, we want you to join us and a healthier lifestyle. So a couple of challenges that I have for you as we move forward, and that is to pay attention to yourself. And as you pay attention to yourself, don't just say, oh, it's just a pain, or oh, it's just this, but pay attention. We all know our bodies, so let's pay attention a little closer. And then also take care of yourself, but also take care of another woman, another sister. We have to be our sister's keeper because girlfriends mean the world to me. And so as they mean the world to me, when you have someone that's close to you and they're looking a little strange, and they're not their normal self, you know, we have to check each other and to, you know, to really make sure that we stay well and we stay healthy. Small baby steps. Let's eat better. You know, we joke about it here on council in this very room. We eat some meals here. You know, and I'll just leave it there. ... We eat here, but you know, we're working. But even at that, there's some small steps that we can do. For me, it was just not so many Reese cups. You know, I could take them down. You know, it's the small things. Instead of I look for a favorable parking spot. You know what that means? It's close by. Thank you, Jesus. But I started, you know, just parking towards the back and picking up my pace a little bit. You know, even though as tired as I am, some days just picking up the pace and adding a few more steps to our day. And then as we talk about moving, the Move More Challenge starts in just a couple of days, the 25th. And so we want you to, I think there's material in the bags. So there's material in your bag. So when you go to your car and you start digging through there, seeing what we gave you, make sure you register for the Move More Challenge. Join the Richland County team for that. Take those challenges seriously, because it's small things like this that will lead to a healthier lifestyle. And then we also want you to join us on the 25th at Segra Park. It's a great walk. It's an easy walk. And many of you how many of you have ever joined the walk, the cancer walk, and you've done the breast cancer walk? It's not even that difficult. It's not even that difficult. It's easy. It's fun. And join us on the 25th. The county is going to be unrolling teams. If you don't have a team, you can join RC District 7. That's my team. We're gonna raise money for this association, but we're also going to come out and we're going to move, and so we're going to continue this ongoing. I love the fact, and I want to take an opportunity, I think I can say this on behalf of my colleagues that are here today, to thank our communications team for really presenting a new effort, a new initiative for us as we move forward. So thank you, Susan, you and your team. So again, let's move more. Let's be better. And I think the days to come are definitely going to be better. So have a great afternoon. Don't eat too much, but eat just enough. And have a great afternoon.
All right. Thank you, Mrs.